I'm Gillian. I'm taking your Pilates class for today. Just make sure that you're on a soft surface. You should have bare feet. Make sure you've got enough space around you that you can move your arms around. You're not going to knock anything over. And that you've got water, so if you need it throughout the class, you've got that there. And you might also find it useful to have like a yoga block if you've got one, or just like a pillow, and just an item of clothing, just like a rolled up jumper, just so you've got it for a bit of extra padding if you get any bony bits digging into the floor, or just to help you move in and out of the floor a little bit easier. Throughout the class, stop and take rests wherever you need to. I will be kind of stopping in between exercises, but if you need rests at any other time where I haven't said, just stop and do whatever you need to do. Everything's in layers, so I'll always start off with the most basic layer of an exercise, and then I'll build it up and add layers to it. So don't feel like you have to go to the next layer. You can just choose whatever level is right for you. So if you're already finding it quite challenging and you want to stay where you are, that's fine. If you're quite stable and you want to add on the extra layer, then go for it, and I will be coaching you through it. If anyone's got any injuries or anything that I need to know about, then just let me know before we start. I think we're all good. Nice. Excellent. So we will make a start. So we're going to actually start standing today to go through a bit of a mobility warm-up and a couple of balance exercises before we come down to the floor. So if you find yourself into the space, and we're going to bring our feet hip width apart and make sure they're nice and parallel. So the toes are going to point straight forwards and the heels straight back behind you. And then we'll lift up the toes and layer them down one at a time. So starting with your little toes all the way through to your big toes. So we're spreading those feet as wide as we can through the floor. And then we'll just start to rock our weight forwards onto the balls of the feet and backwards onto the heels. So just feeling your weight connecting through the soles of the feet into the floor. And we'll come to rest in a place where our weight is just nice and evenly spread through the fronts and the backs of the feet. And from here, we'll lift up tall through the crown of the head. So imagine you've got a string pulling you up to the ceiling. So the chin and the eyes just drop down level with the horizon. And then we'll lift the shoulders up to the ears and slide the shoulder blades down the back. So we've got some tension through those shoulder stabilizers. And we'll start to take some pelvic tilts. So you can keep your arms by your side, or you can put your hands onto your pelvis. Imagine your pelvis is a bowl of water. We're going to tip the water out through the front and then tip the water out through the back. So starting with quiet big movements, just so we can start to loosen off that lower back and feel that pelvis isolating and moving. And then we'll come to rest in a place where that water would just be held nice and still. So the pelvis is upright. And we've got our neutral spine all the way down. So we'll engage now through our TVA, our transverse abdominals. And we do that just by pulling the belly button in tightly towards the spine. So imagine you've got a corset or a belt around your waist, and you're tightening it up as tightly as it will go. And then let it out halfway and halfway again. And we'll do the same with the pelvic floor. So the sling of muscles along the bottom of your pelvis, you're going to draw those muscles into the center, and then like you're doing up an internal zip, zip up as high as you can, and then let it out halfway and halfway again. So we've got our quarter engagement, which is just to support our spine in neutral. So this is the minimum amount of tension that we want through our core throughout the class. With our breathing, we inhale through the nose and expand sideways into the ribs so that we can hold that quarter tension. And then as you exhale through the mouth and the rib cage relaxes down, we're going to draw that belly button in a little bit tighter and lift the pelvic floor. And then re-find your quarter tension. We'll do that a couple more times. So inhale through the nose, expand sideways through the ribs. And then as you exhale, feel those ribs sliding down, belly button pulling towards the spine, and pelvic floor zipping up. And then re-find your quarter tension one more time. So this is the coordinated coordination of breathing that we're going to use in the class. So as you exhale, you're feeling that connection with your abdominals and with your powerhouse, and that's going to give you extra stability through the exercises. So just really finding that quarter engagement, relax the arms down by the sides, and we'll drop the ear over to the shoulder. Bring the chin down towards the chest and take the head round in a half circle over to the other side. And then drop the chin down, take it round again. So we're just opening out into that neck space, feeling that stretch into the upper back as the chin drops to the chest. And when you're even on both sides, we'll drop the chin down one more time and bring the gaze forwards. We'll lift the shoulders up, slide the shoulder blades down the back and start to take some backwards shoulder rolls. So just massaging the top of the arm into the shoulder joint. And then we'll start to make those movements a little bit bigger. And then eventually turning into full arm circles backwards. So keeping those arms nice and long, reaching them out of the shoulders, feeling that lovely openness through the front of the chest. Making sure that we've got that rib to hip connection, so we're not arching through the back, we're staying connected through the core as the arms go behind us. And then we'll reverse all of that. So starting with the shoulders coming forwards and then into arm circles. So just gradually increasing in size until we're into those full arm circles. Good. And then we'll bring the arms up level with the chest, elbows level with the shoulders. We're going to keep the hips still and twist from the waist. So we're really just loosening off that mid to upper back, activating through the obliques, the side abdominals, as you feel that twist. So we want to imagine we're wringing ourselves out through the middle of the body. Good, and then we'll relax the arms down and we'll just let them swing around the body. So just releasing any tension that we have left through the shoulders. Good, that's it. And then we'll re-meet those feet back underneath the hips to go into our side bends. So again, keeping the hips still, so we're isolating the movement into the spine, sliding the hands down the thigh, and then up and over to the side. Keeping those shoulders square to the front, like we're between two panes of glass. And trying to feel that weight evenly through both feet as you go over to the side. Good, that's it. So you should feel that lovely stretch into the side of the waist. And then we're going to expand this movement. So we'll take a reach out to the side, flip the palm, and then sweep the arm all the way up and over, and then come back to the middle. Out to the other side, reaching out, flipping the palm all the way up and over. So we feel that stretch come a little bit higher up into the sides of the ribs, and we're loading up through that core a little bit more, so getting everything nice and switched on. And we'll even out, so make sure you've done the same amount on each side. And then come back to the center. We're going to come into our hips. So starting with a really simple toe tap to the front, join the feet back together, take the same leg out to the side, join the feet together, and then take that leg to the back. So all on the same leg. And then we're going to bring that leg off the floor to 90 degrees. So just finding that balance point. Back to 2 feet, then we're sweeping, extending along the floor, lifting it off, keeping those hips nice and level. And we'll keep it as a tap to the back just so that we can keep that pelvis in neutral. And we'll take that round one more time. So finding that balance point as you lift the knee to the front, extending out along the floor to the side, and then keeping it as a tap to the back. You can stay with that option, or if you're feeling stable, we can bring that leg up to the front, holding still on that supporting side, open the leg straight out to the side, close it off, and then take it through to the back. And we'll do that one more time. So lifting to the front, opening out, making sure that we're not moving through the hips, bringing it straight, and taking it through. And then we'll come on to the other side. So starting with our toe taps, front, side, and back, just to feel our weight on that supporting side. And then we'll bring that leg off the floor to the front. So finding that 90 degrees, and then extending to the side and tapping to the back. Good, one more time round. So as we come to the front, we're working the hip flexor, the lower abdominals. As we take it to the side, we're feeling that squeeze into the top of the glutes. And then as you take it to the back, feeling that squeeze through the biggest part of the bum cheek. And then if we're stable, we'll bring it all the way up and open it out. So like you're opening your gaze out to the side, closing it off and taking it through. One more time, make sure that supporting hip doesn't move. Opening out, closing off and taking it through. And then we're going to take 3 or 4 ankle circles on each leg. So in your own time, just taking that leg forwards, 3 or 4 circles each way. And then everything should be moving nicely, ready to go. Good, nice. So when you've done your ankle circles, if you're not there already, make your way to the top of the mat. And we'll just take a moment to re-find our neutral position. So feet are parallel. Maybe lift the toes up and layer them down one more time. Lifting up tall through the top of the head with our neutral pelvis and that quarter engagement. Arms relaxed by the sides. We'll take an inhale to lift up tall through the spine. And then as you exhale, drop the chin to the chest. Start to round the shoulders forwards and peel the spine down one vertebrae at a time to hang over the legs. So it doesn't matter how far you get. Inhale at the bottom. And as you exhale, press the feet into the floor. Draw the belly button up towards the spine and restack the vertebrae one at a time, all the way back up to your standing position. And we'll do that a couple more times. So inhaling at the top. And as you exhale, relaxing down, peeling those vertebrae away one at a time. So we're looking to mobilize the spine here. When you get to the bottom, just make sure the back of the neck is relaxed. Inhale. And then as you exhale, restack the spine one vertebrae at a time, like building blocks, all the way back up to standing. Good. And again, inhale when you get to the top. Exhale to roll down through the spine. Good. That's it. Making sure that those arms and the back of the neck are nice and relaxed. Good. Really nice. Good. Lovely. So working in time with your own breath. And on our next one, so whenever you next come down towards the floor, we're going to find the floor with the hands. So take your time. The next time you come down, if you need to bend the knees a little bit to find the floor, that's fine. Finding the floor with the hands, we're going to track the hands forwards and walk them out to come to a 4-point kneeling position. So the knees are underneath the hips. We're going to take the hands slightly wider than shoulder width apart. So we're coming into some box push-ups. Make sure that the pelvis is neutral here. So we should be able to balance a tray of drinks along the hips. And then we're going to inhale and lower the chest down towards the floor. And exhale to push the hands into the floor to bring us back up to our 4-point kneeling position. Inhaling to lower, elbows tight to the sides of the body, and exhale to push. So we should feel that activation through the chest and the triceps. One more time, inhaling to lower, exhaling to push. And when you've done your 3 push-ups, we can tuck the toes under, lift the hips up to the ceiling, walk the hands back towards the feet, and take a spinal roll all the way back up to standing. Okay, so we're going to do a couple more sets of these. We've got a few options. So inhaling at the top, exhaling to roll down, finding the floor with the hands. You can either walk out into your box push-up position, or we can now walk the hands all the way out into a full plank position. You can do your full push-ups here, or you can lower your knees onto the floor for 3/4 push-ups. And then we do the same thing, inhaling to lower, and exhaling to push back to your start position. So we've got 3 push-ups in whichever position you've chosen. Making sure that we're moving with control, feel that connection with the abdominals as you exhale. And when you've done your 3 push-ups, tucking the toes, lifting the hips, walking the hands back towards the feet, and taking our spinal roll all the way back up to standing. So we've got one more set. So inhaling at the top, exhaling to roll down through the spine. Good. So in your own time, walking out into whichever push-up position you've chosen and taking your 3 push-ups. Good, nice. That's it. So really try and draw the shoulder blades down the back. We're going to stay down after your 3rd push-up this time. So if you've powered through them, then you can just take a little breather. If you're still going, take your time for your 3 push-ups. Good, nice. So when you've taken your last push-ups, we'll all meet in our 4-point kneeling position. We're going to come into a leg pull prone or a plank. So you've got the option here, if you have any shoulder issues, feel free to take this onto your elbows instead. From here, draw the shoulder blades down the back, belly button to spine. We're going to step the right leg back, tuck the toes under, and then step the left leg back to join in our plank position. So once we've found that extended position, we're going to take 5 breaths. So like we did at the beginning, inhale through the nose, expand sideways through the ribs, and as you exhale, draw that belly button in tightly towards the spine and zip up the pelvic floor. We've got 4 more. Inhale, and exhale, connect with the abdominals. 3 more breaths. So holding that position nice and strong and feeling that connection with that exhale whenever you need to. Good. 2 more breaths to go. Nearly there. So every time you exhale, zipping right up from that pelvic floor, engaging through those abdominals, belly button to spine. And we'll make this next one our last one. So tighten up as tightly as you can. And then we'll lower the knees down to the floor, untuck the toes, and lower ourselves all the way down onto our tummies. So we're going to take the hands so that the middle fingers are facing towards each other and the elbows are out wide. So you're making like a diamond shape on the floor in front of you with your hands. And we're going to take our feet about mat width apart. And we're going to find a slightly rotated version. So drawing those heels together. So the heels are in and the tops of the feet are facing out slightly. From here, lengthen the tailbone down towards the hamstrings so you feel the front of the hips lift off away from the mat, and then draw the belly button up away from the floor so we're engaged through our core. We're going to inhale to prepare, and as we exhale, we're going to lengthen and lift our right leg just off the floor, and then lower it back down. And we'll do the same with the left leg. So it's not going to be a huge movement. We're lengthening the leg away and then lifting and extending through the front of the hip and then lengthening back down to the floor. So alternating legs. As we do it, we're trying to keep that belly button lifted up away from the mat so that we've got that nice long lumbar spine. We're not compressing into the lower back at all. So keep going, alternating legs. Good, that's it. And if you feel like you're in control of that, you're managing to hold strong through your center, you're not pressing your tummy down into the floor, then we can start to lengthen and lift both legs at the same time. So we're coming into a double hip extension. So this is a little bit tougher on the lower back. If you don't like it, you can just stick with those alternate leg lifts. Trying to keep that tailbone reaching down towards the hamstrings. And if you've taken that double leg lift, you can hold your next one off the floor, flex the feet and take 5 squeezes. So squeezing those heels together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we'll point the toes and lower the legs back to the floor. So just give your hips a little bit of a wiggle if you need to, just to release off into that lower back. And we're going to keep the legs where they are. And we're going to open the arms into a U shape. So the elbows are going to be level with the shoulders, and then the forearms are flat on the floor in front of us. The gaze is down on the mat, and we've still got that length through the lumbar spine. We inhale to prepare, and as we exhale, we're going to roll the nose forwards and lift the chest off the floor, keeping the forearms down. So we're just starting to mobilize the upper back now, and then lengthen back to the floor. So exhale, belly button up away from the mat, lengthen and lift that chest forwards. And then coming back down. So we should feel that line of muscles right underneath the shoulder blades. And you've got the option to stick with this mobility exercise, or we can add the strength element. So the next time you come up, we can take the arms off the floor as well, holding that U shape, and then lengthen back down. So exhaling to lengthen and lift, and inhaling to lower back down. Making sure that we're trying to keep that belly button lifting off the mat all the time. Keeping the lower back nice and long. Option to stay with the version you're on, or on your next one, we can hold that lifted position, reach the arms overhead to the wall in front of us, draw the elbows back level with the shoulders, and then lengthen down to the floor. So we'll exhale to lengthen and lift. Inhale to reach the arms forwards. Exhale to pull the elbows back. And inhale to lower back down. Keep going. We're going to do 3 more repetitions of whichever option we're taking. Good, that's it. So really working into the back of the shoulders. Trying to keep those forearms parallel with the floor if we can. Good, nice. Really lovely work. Good, try and keep those elbows at right angles if we can. Good, that's it. So we'll take 1 more repetition. So we'll make this next one your last one. And then from here, we'll bring the hands underneath the shoulders. We'll pull the hips back towards the heels just to take a release stretch. So toes together, knees apart, and we'll curl up into a little ball. So try and tuck your tailbone down and think about the top of your head coming towards the mat so that we're really rounding the back and stretching out all of those muscles. Then we'll just take a couple of breaths in to recover. Good. So when you're ready, we're going to come onto our side. So just make your way back down to the mat and then roll onto your side. So we're going to try and get our body into a nice straight line. So you can use your mat as a reference point just to make sure the body is nice and straight. With your underneath arm, you can have that extended out underneath you. If you want to put a jumper in between your ear and your arm to give you a little bit of support through there, then by all means do that. And we're going to have our front hands just fingertips on the floor. So making sure that the hips and the shoulders are stacked right on top of each other here. And making sure that we've got a lift on that underside waist. So lengthen that top leg away. You should feel that activation through the underneath side. From here, inhale to prepare. Exhale to lengthen and lift that top leg just up to hip height. So we're using the top of the glute here. Take an inhale, and on your next exhale, you're going to use your inside thighs to squeeze your underneath leg up to join that top leg. We're going to hold this here. If you're feeling up for it, you can try and take your fingers off the floor on that front hand and maybe bring that hand to the side of your body. If you've taken that balance, we can place the fingers back down. We are only going to lower down our underneath legs, so holding that top leg at hip height. And we're going to take 5 small circles in each direction. So imagine you're drawing a circle on the wall with your big toe. Lengthen the leg away and just start to circle that leg so it comes slightly forwards, up and back. So keep the breath flowing here, nice long inhales and exhales. We'll take 5 circles in one direction in your own time. And then when you've done 5 circles one way, you can just change direction. So try and keep the hips as still as you can here. Keep thinking about that belly button drawing into the spine and those ribs knitted together. Really tempting when we're lying on our side to just let those ribs flare and arch through the back. We want to keep that nice and compact through the middle of the body. When you've taken your 5 circles each way, if you can, hold that leg at hip height. If you need to bring it down and rest, that's fine. If you can hold it, then we're going to hold it there. And then we're going to lift that underneath leg up to join again. So if you've taken a rest, then when you're ready, you can just re-find this position, lifting the top leg, lifting the underneath leg to join. Maybe find that balanced top hand to the side of the body. Good, that's it. And then we can place those fingers back down, just lower down that underneath leg. This is really horrible, I know. And we're going for 5 more circles each way. So the top hip should be pretty fired up by now, should be feeling a bit warm, a little bit hot. 5 circles one way, and then 5 circles the other way. So just in your own time, keep the breath flowing. So we don't want to hold our breath at any point. We want to keep those nice long inhales and exhales. And when you've done your 5 circles each way, you can bring that top leg down and hug the knees in. And you can give that top hip a little bit of a rub if you need to. So just releasing off. And then we'll use that top hand to push ourselves up, and we'll swap our head with our feet, or if it's easier, depending on your setup, you can just roll over to face the other way, and we'll come onto the other side straight away. So finding that nice straight line through the body, underneath arm extended, palm up to the ceiling, making sure that the shoulders and the hips are stacked one on top of each other. If you need that cushion in between your ear and your arm, or that rolled up jumper, then you can just place that in there. Fingertips on the floor on that front hand, and lifting on the underneath side of that waist. So we inhale to prepare, exhale to lengthen and lift that top leg to hip height. Inhale, and as you exhale, connect with those abdominals, squeeze those inside thighs to lift that underneath leg. And then if you're feeling stable, you can take that arm, that top arm to the side of the body. Good, nice. And then we'll bring those fingertips back down, lower the underneath leg, hold that top leg up if we can, and we'll take our 5 circles each way. So keep thinking about that top leg reaching away. Imagine someone's got hold of your ankle and they're pulling your leg away from your hip. And as soon as you find that length, you should feel a bit more activation on that underneath side waist. Good, and we're trying to keep the hips as still as we can here. So make sure that we're not rolling back or forwards with that top hip. Try and keep it stacked right on top of that underneath hip. And then when we've done our 5 circles each way, if you need to bring that leg down, you can, but if you can hold it there, try and hold it at hip height. And then on your next exhale, squeeze that underneath leg up to join. And then maybe see if you've got that balance. You'll find that one side feels a lot more comfortable than the other one for these. Give it a go. The worst thing that will happen is you'll fall over. Good. And there's not far to fall when you're on the floor. Fingertips back down. We'll lower down that underneath leg, and we've got our 5 circles in each direction. So we're working all of those muscles around the hip. If you're not feeling too much going on, then maybe just try and put a little bit less weight through those fingertips. And then you'll suddenly feel, when you take away that balancing aid, suddenly everything really has to switch on to stabilize through your body. So 5 circles each way in your own time. Keep that leg reaching away. And when you've finished your circles, you can bring that leg down and hug your knees in and give your hip a little bit of a rub. Good, really nice work. So from here, we're going to push up into a seated position and extend the legs out in front. So we're coming into a spine stretch. We're going to have the feet flexed, and we want to have a straight back. Now, it's quite a difficult position to sit in and get a straight back. So if you need to, if you're finding you're really gripping through the front of the legs and you can't quite sit up straight, you can get a block or like a cushion to sit on, and that'll just release through the front of the hips, make it a little bit easier to find that straight back position. If you're still not quite there and you need to just relax the back of the knees slightly, then that is fine as well. So we're aiming to get nice and tall through the spine. We're going to have the feet flexed, arms straight out in front of us at shoulder height. As we inhale, we're going to lift tall through the spine. And as we exhale, we're going to imagine we're going over a giant beach ball. So we're going to drop the head and then reach the top of the head straight forward to the wall in front of us, keeping that up and round feeling through the middle of the body. And then come back up to our seated position. So So as we do this, we want a two-way stretch. So as we reach the arms and the top of the head forwards, we want to feel the middle of the back and the back of the pelvis reaching back behind us. So we've got our body pulling us in two different directions. We'll just take a few more of these, so we're just getting that stretch through the spine as the name suggests. Arms come up level with the sides of the ears. And try and make sure that those shoulder blades stay pulling down the back, so we're not hunching through the shoulders. Good, that's it. Make sure that the head goes with you, so the neck is part of your spine as well. So make sure that when you come forwards, it's not your face that's going straight forwards, it's the top of your head. So that chin should be tucked in towards the chest slightly. Good, that's it. Nice, let's take two more. Good, some really, really lovely movements here. Good, and we'll take one more. Good, and when you finish that repetition, we're going to bring our legs into a cross-legged position if it's comfortable for you. If it's not, then you can keep your legs in that extended position, maybe take them a little bit further apart so that they're in like more of a V shape. So again, you've got the option to sit on that block if you need to find that straight spine. We're going into a spine twist, so we're going to press the palms of the hands together, and our hands are going to create a wedge. So we're going to tip that shape towards us, and then bring it in so that the middle finger is underneath the chin and the thumbs are in towards the middle of the chest. So this is just to help us keep a straight line through our body. And then draw the shoulder blades down the back. We're going to inhale to lift tall through the spine. And as we exhale, we're going to take a twist to the right. So we're twisting from the waist. We want both hips pressing down evenly into the floor. And then we'll inhale to come back to the middle. So exhale to twist the other way. And inhale back to the middle. So as we exhale, we're thinking about that engagement through the abdominals, drawing the belly button in. So as you go into your twist, you should feel like you're wringing your body out, like you're wringing out a cloth. And the more height, the more length you get through the spine, the more space you're going to have to twist. Good, that's it. And make sure that both bum cheeks are nice and even on the floor. So the temptation is as you twist it round for your opposite hip to come up. So just make sure that that hip stays rooted. Good. So if you want to challenge that proprioception a little bit more, then we can bring those arms into a Cossack position. So crossing hands to elbows. And this just means we've got to have a little bit more awareness that when we twist round, that we're staying central and that our arms aren't going round without us. So if we've got those shoulder blades pulling down the back, then you should be able to feel that. Good, that's it. Nice, so we're thinking about those collarbones moving around. And imagine your spine's a broom handle, you're just twisting around that axis. Good, should feel quite nice. We should feel some movement going on again in that space underneath the shoulder blades and into those side obliques. We'll just take one more each way, maybe a third one if you need to even out. Good, lovely postures, really, really nice. Good, so just even yourself out, make sure that you've done the same amount on each side. And then we can maybe just take a little side bend each way, so just to stretch out through the sides of the body and release off. Good, that's it. And then just remove, if you have been sat on a cushion, just move that to one side so that it's out of the way. And we'll extend the legs forwards and we're going to take a roll down to the floor. So reaching those legs forwards, lifting up. And then as you exhale, tuck the tailbone under, round through that lower back. And we're going to come down to the floor one vertebrae at a time. So as slowly as you can, with as much control as you can, until we come all the way down to lie on our back. And we're just going to take a moment to find our neutral position. So we're going to have our feet flat on the floor, our knees bent. And a lot of this is similar to when we were standing. So we want those legs hip width apart. The back of the neck to be long. So maybe slide the crown of your head up towards the back of the mat. The chin just drops down ever so slightly. Shoulders relaxed. And then we want to take some pelvic tilts. So same as we did when we were standing, but we've now obviously got the floor as a bit of a reference point. So as you tip the pelvis away from you, you'll feel a space in the lumbar spine. And as you tip the pelvis towards you, you'll feel that lower back pressing into the floor. So just take a few of those. You can put your hands on your hips so you've got that feedback. And we want to come to find a place in the middle where the front of the hips and the front of the pelvis is level. So if you take the heels of your hands and put them on your hip bones and make a triangle down towards your pubic bone, you want that triangle to be flat. And once you have that, just check in with the rib cage and make sure that the whole of the rib cage is on the floor, so we're not flaring through the ribs. We're nice and knitted together. So from here, we're going to go into our 100 exercise. So we'll take a preparation first. Inhale to prepare. As you exhale, tighten up your belt. So draw your belly button towards your spine, slide your ribs towards your hips, so you've got a little bit of length through the back, and then float off one leg at a time into our tabletop position. So our knees should be directly above our hips and our shins parallel to the floor. From here, inhale. And as you exhale, slide the ribs to the hips and come into a curl up with the upper body. So we're lifting the head and shoulders off the floor. So the arms are reaching forwards, they're hovered off the floor as well. We'll just take a couple of breaths here. So inhaling through the nose. And as you exhale, draw that belly button in towards the spine. Good. And then we'll lengthen the head and shoulders back down to the floor and lower the legs down one at a time. And if you need to just give them a little sway to release off, that's fine. So for our 100 exercise, we're going to be in that tabletop position and we're going to beat our arms from the shoulders. So I'll do you a demo first. So if you haven't done it before, then you can just have a little watch, see what I'm talking about. So we're going to keep the arms straight. We're going to do 5 beats for an inhale and 5 beats for an exhale. So we're beating the arms from the shoulders in that tabletop position. If when you're doing this, you feel like you're getting really tense through your neck and your shoulders, then you can place your head and shoulders back down, but try and keep your legs in tabletop and keep the arms beating. So we're still working. If you find it's the other way around and actually it's your hips that are really gripping and giving you a bit of grief, then place your feet down on the floor and try and keep your curl up and keep the arms beating. Okay, so all options. So we'll all come into that tabletop position. We'll go all together. So exhale, belly button to spine, ribs to hips, find that tabletop. Take an inhale. Exhale to come into your curl up and we'll beat the arms. So inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. In, 2, 3, 4, 5. Out, 2, 3, 4, 5. Keep going, keep beating the arms with the breath. And every time you do that long exhale, think about that belly button drawing in, that internal zip zipping right up through your pelvic floor. Good, really nice. Lovely control. That's it, keep it going. So think about that sideways expansion through the ribs, keeping that pelvis in neutral. We're going to do 2 more breaths. So we've just got a little bit longer to go. Good, this is really an exercise to do with your breathing and coordinating with the abdominals. So we'll make this one our last breath. So when you finish your next exhale, you can lengthen the head and shoulders back down to the floor. Bring the legs down one at a time and release off. So if you want to take a full body stretch to open out through the front of the hip flexors, then we'll open out. If you prefer to kind of hug the knees in and have a little rock side to side, then that is fine as well. So just do whatever you need to do just to release off and just have a moment of relaxation before we come into our next exercise. So when you're ready, we'll re-meet back in that neutral position with our feet flat on the floor. And we're going to come into a series of 1-leg stretches. So from our neutral position, inhale to prepare, exhale belly button to spine, ribs to hips, float the legs off one at a time into our tabletop position. From here, inhale, and as you exhale, you're going to extend your right leg up and away, like you're rolling a ball up the wall, and then inhale back to your tabletop.
and then onto the other leg. So exhale, extend the legs. So we're at about 45 degrees, and then inhale to come back. So as you do this, we want the focus to be on your pelvis. We want the pelvis to stay in neutral, belly button pulling towards the spine. So we're trying to flatten those tummy muscles sideways as much as possible. If you're feeling nice and stable, your pelvis isn't moving as you extend the leg, you can start to explore a little bit more range of movement and maybe lower that leg down a little bit closer towards the floor. So really feel that extension. It's a one leg stretch. So again, you want to imagine someone's got hold of your ankle and they're pulling your leg out away from your hip and keeping that pelvis in neutral.
Good, really nice. And make sure that that leg that's in tabletop stays in tabletop with that shin parallel to the floor and the knee right over the hip. Good, so you can continue with this option. If you want to take it up a level, then we can bring the head and shoulders up off the floor and we can hold on to our knee. So we can hug that knee as we extend the other leg away and then change legs, so swapping legs. So we'll inhale as they swap places, exhale as you reach the leg away. So always trying to coordinate with the breathing. Good, really lovely. We'll go for 3 more on each side. Good, really nice options, guys. Lovely work. So we'll just even out, so make sure that you've done the same amount on each side. And then if we've got the head and shoulders off the floor, we'll bring both legs back to tabletop and you can lower those head and shoulders back down. Keep the legs in tabletop if you can. So from here, we're going to bring the arms up to the ceiling and then we're going to open them out to the sides. So you've got the option to have your palms up to the ceiling, which is going to be a little bit harder, or you can have your palms down to the floor for a little bit more support. And we're going to take some hip rolls. So from our tabletop position with our arms to the side, we'll inhale to prepare. And as you exhale, we're going to keep the shoulder blades and the arms on the floor and roll onto our right hip. So just go as far as you feel in control. So we've got that twist through the body. Inhale to pause. And then exhale to roll that left hip back down onto the mat to come back to the middle. Inhale in the center, exhale to roll the other way. And try and keep those knees and ankles glued right on top of each other. Inhale to pause, exhale to come back to the middle. And we'll take 2 more in each direction. Good, so again, we're working into those obliques, getting that twist through the body. Keeping the shoulder blades down. And try and keep the knees and ankles glued together on this one, especially that top leg. So make sure that that top leg goes all the way over that underneath leg. Good, really nice work. So just 1 more on each side. Try and keep those knees at 90 degrees if you can. Good, lovely. And when you're even on both sides, you can bring those legs down 1 at a time, and again, just take whatever release you feel benefits you most. So full body stretch, hugging the knees in, little sway of the knees side to side, whatever you need to do just to get that little bit of release. Good. Nice, so we've just got 1 more exercise. We're nearly there. So when you're ready, bringing those feet back flat on the floor, finding that neutral position again. Take a moment to re-find that neutral pelvis. Make sure that the shoulders are relaxed. And we're going to open out through the front of the hips now, do an exercise to strengthen through the back of the body. So from our neutral position, inhale to prepare. As you exhale, you're going to take a pelvic tilt. So you're going to press your lower back into the floor, start to curl the tailbone up between the legs, squeeze the glutes, and then start to peel the spine off the floor 1 vertebrae at a time to come up into a glute bridge. So when we get to this top position, we're going to take a pause. Make sure that the shoulder blades are on the floor.
The knees are reaching out away from you, and keep trying to tuck that tailbone right up between the legs. So we're trying to get as much of a tilt through the pelvis as we can. And then on your next exhale, you can relax the rib cage down and start to roll down through the spine, one vertebrae at a time, back down to the floor. And then release that pelvic tilt at the bottom. And then we'll go again. So we're exhaling to scoop those abdominals in and up to peel off the floor into our bridge. Pausing at the top for one breath so we can feel those glutes squeezing, feel those feet pressing into the floor, so we feel that activation through the hamstrings, through the glutes. And then on your next exhale, relax the rib cage down, roll down through the spine to release your pelvic tilt at the bottom. We're going to do 3 more repetitions in your own time. So exhaling to roll up, scooping those tummy muscles in and up, pressing the feet into the floor as you peel that spine up into the bridge. Good, so we're nice and open through the front of the hips, and then rolling down one vertebrae at a time. Good, really nice. Just a couple more repetitions in time with your own breath, and really press those arms down into the floor as well. So make it a full body exercise. Use your arms into the floor, and that should give you even more tension and stability through the middle of your body. And just imagine maybe that you've got a grapefruit or something in between your knees. So you're squeezing slightly, just so we get a bit of tension through those inside thighs. So we'll make our next repetition our last one. So we'll just go for one more. Good, and when you finish that last repetition, you can hug those knees into the chest. Good, really nice work. So we'll hug those knees in, we'll just take some little circles. So holding onto your knees, and we'll take the knees out and away from each other, just making some small circles. So we're getting a little bit of a massage into the hips, and just loosening off through that lower back. So we'll just take 3 or 4 circles one way, and then we'll reverse them, so circling them around the other way. Good, and then when you're ready, we'll meet those feet back on the floor. We're going to take our right leg and cross it over the left. So we'll go for a tight cross, so crossing at the knees, and we'll open the arms out to the side. So we're just coming into our final stretching phase. So our right leg is crossed over our left. We're going to let the legs fall to the left. And then you can either just relax here, or you can use your left hand to guide those knees down towards the floor. So we're getting a twist through the spine, a stretch through the hip, and a stretch through the chest as well. So just resetting those muscles from the exercises we've done today. And then using your core, we'll roll that right hip back onto the floor. Uncross the legs, press into the feet to realign the hips. And then we'll cross the left leg over the right and let the legs fall out to the right. So again, option to use your right hand to guide the knees to the floor. Otherwise, just relaxing in the stretch. So when we do these stretches, we don't want to force any positions. We want to use our breath. So as you exhale, we want to relax a little bit deeper into the stretch. And then we'll use our core to roll that left hip back onto the floor. Uncross the legs, and we're going to flip ourselves all the way over onto all fours. So in your own time, just making your way all the way over into our 4-point kneeling position. Good, that's it. And from here, we're going to tuck the toes under and lift the hips up to the ceiling, the same as we did at the beginning of class. And we're coming through like a downward dog, so extending the heels towards the floor, pulling the chest through towards the thighs. And you can either just hold this position still, or you can take some foot pedals if you feel that that's useful for you, just to release through the backs of the legs. So you're getting that lovely stretch all the way through the back body here. Good, and then we're going to bring the knees back down to the floor. So back to our 4-point kneeling position. And this time we'll come all the way up. And if you want a little bit of padding under your knee, or you can roll your mat under, that's fine. We're going to take our left foot forwards. We're going to come into a hip flexor stretch. So one leg forwards, I've taken my left foot forwards. We'll just realign the spine. So we want to extend the tailbone down, lift up through the front of the hips, squeeze the glute. And then we'll take the right arm up to the ceiling. So we should feel that stretch through the front of that hip. If you need to, make sure you keep the squeeze on the glute. You can push forward slightly onto that front leg just to increase that stretch a little bit if you feel you need it. Good, and then when you're ready, we'll bring that leg down and we'll swap sides. So taking the other foot forwards, I've got my right leg forwards, extending the tailbone down to the floor, lifting through the front of the hips, squeezing the glutes, and we'll take the left arm up to the ceiling. Option to hold this position or maybe just push onto that front leg slightly if you need to, just to feel that stretch. Good, and bringing that leg down. And we'll bring the hands back to the floor, tuck the toes under. We're lifting the hips one more time. This time walking the hands back to the feet. And we'll just take a moment to hang over the legs. So you can have your knees straight or slightly relaxed. Let the arms hang down to the floor, or you can take hold of opposite elbow points. Maybe nod the head yes, shake the head no. Make sure we're not holding any tension through the back of the neck. And take a couple of deep breaths. And if we've taken hold of those elbows, we'll relax those arms down. And on your next exhale, as we did at the beginning, engaging with the abdominals, belly button to spine, press the feet into the floor to restack those vertebrae one at a time up to standing. And when we get to the top, we're going to inhale to lift those shoulders up to the ears. And then exhale to relax them down. And we'll do that one more time. Inhale to lift the shoulders. And exhale to relax them down. And we're all done. Well done, guys. Really great work.